I've written the novella many years before the story, and the artist Asaf Hanukkah was an artist I've already collaborated with in the past on a different graphic novel, and when he read the book, he said, "I have it in my mind. I want to make a graphic novel out of it," because he said, I'm afraid that other people who read the book will imagine it in a wrong way. I said to him, "Asaf, there is no wrong way." So he said, okay, but I want them to see my way too. And in Israel, actually, it's not very common to have graphic novels, but I approach my publisher and I say, "Look, this is one of Israel's leading artists, and if he's committed to it, we should let him publish it." And we've published it, and it had been translated to quite a few languages. I think it came out in Korea also, and in quite a few European languages. It really depends on my relationship with the artist, but in this case, because Asaf and me were very good friends, and we collaborated a lot, and of course Asaf has his own vision. So let's say there is a talking dog in the book, he wanted to turn it into a cat because he doesn't like dogs. I was very flexible, and I said to him, "You know, I trust you, and I want the book to be your own reading of the text." So we've made the changes that he wanted to do in the text, but also I would offer him a lot of frame angles or kind of a storyboard advices, and it was a very, very positive process because again, you know, I think the fact that we're friends and that we've collaborated in the past on graphic novels, it really helped. Usually they're made by people who read the book or the story and they want to adapt it. By the way, in this case, you know, there is Asaf Hanukkah's graphic novel, but at the same time, there was an American film made based on the story called Wristcutters, a love story featuring American singer Tom Waits. And it's funny because Asaf had a lot of criticism about the film, and the film director had a lot of criticism about the graphic novel. They both appreciate each other, but it was a big surprise for me how each of them had feelings that the way that they imagine the book is the correct way, you know. It was a very funny and warm dialogue, you know, each of them seeing the work of the other. And also, currently, if I try to think of adaptations, and I know that there is a film company in Hong Kong that had optioned one of the stories in Suddenly a Knock on the Door called A Healthy Start, and they're trying to develop a feature film out of it. And Amazon had optioned a story of mine called Second Chance, and they try to develop a TV series from it right now, Amazon Productions. And NBC took an option on another story from the collection called Liland. But from experience, when it comes to films, because and TV is such big projects that many times you option something and in the end you don't make a film or TV series out of it. So usually I kind of know that there is a new adaptation when it's out. Before that, you can never be sure. For me, I don't feel that I have any ownership of the story. I think that every reader reads a story in a different way, and especially when you write a minimalistic work like mine, then the work is a cocktail, you know, of what I put in it and what the reader puts in it, what he imagines and what he wants. So I actually like the fact that you send the story out and you really don't know how people will read it. I always like to give the example of a short story of mine called Crazy Glue, about a husband and a wife that their marriage are breaking, and they're arguing about a Crazy Glue commercial because they say that the glue can hold the man from the ceiling. And when the husband comes home, he sees the wife had glued herself to the ceiling to prove to him it's possible. And in the story, he puts books one on top of each other, tries to get her down, but when he can't, he kisses her. And when he kisses her, he says, "I feel the books fall under my feet, and I'm floating in the air, held only by her lips." And this story was adapted both to a romantic comedy and to a horror movie. And I feel when I saw both movies, they made sense, because there is something very romantic and uplifting about the people being together, but there's also something very terrifying about people being together and not being able to go apart. And I believe that, you know, that the one reader read it and it reminded him painful thing from his past, and another read it and it seemed to him like a promise of a great romantic promise. And I'm totally open for that. When it comes to interpretation, I had one story that I wrote taking place in the conflict area between Israel and Palestine, where the same story was adapted to two short films. One of them was a very liberal left-wing reading of the story, and the other was a right-wing reading. And even though I didn't agree with the politics of the right-wing films, I thought that it was a totally legitimate as a reading. And for me, when I see a film, I just ask myself, is it good or is it bad, you know? So I would rather have a very different and far reading of my stories turned into a good film than somebody who would be very loyal to the text and to what I thought and would make a film that would be mediocre.